Good evening, everyone. Welcome. We are live from Books and Books in Coral Gables on the internet, with thanks to the Knight Foundation for their generous support. Just a reminder to our internet audience, if at any time during the presentation you decide you'd like a copy of tonight's book, we can get it signed for you if you call the number on the screen, and we'll ship it to you free of charge anywhere here in the U.S. For those of you here, if you could please silence your cell phones, and don't forget to pick up a copy of our Books and Books newsletter. I realize January is over today, but one of these will give you a brief synopsis of all the events we have here at the store. We do about 60 events every month, sometimes 4 a night. We have children's events, we have Spanish events, kids events, poetry readings, first-time authors, and celebrity signings. If you visit the site, when you visit the site, please give us your email address as well so we can keep you apprised of all that goes on here so you don't miss anything. And don't forget to visit our newest location. Books and Books now has a shop and a cafe at the Arch Center downtown in the historic Sears Tower. Beautiful bookstore, beautiful cafe. Please make sure you see that. Put that on your agenda if you're visiting. Tonight we're very happy to have with us Mimi Lutz, and I'm right here with you. Mimi Lutz was an instructor for the Silva Method and has been working as a clinical hypnotherapist for over 20 years. A former Miami resident who now resides in Massachusetts, Lutz is trained in the Silva Method of mind development and stress control, a personal growth program designed to awaken the hidden powers of the mind and help people to make changes in their careers, finances, relationships, and well-being so that they can live the lives of their dreams. In her latest work, I'm Right Here With You, Mimi explores the questions: how do we become more present and more aware of our inner workings so we can clearly make the choice? And what are the advantages of responding versus reacting? Please give a warm South Florida welcome, warm, I stress, to Miss Mimi Lutz.
Books for offering this moment and for selling the books, and thank you, Annette, for reconnecting me to Books and Books. So I feel very honored to be here, and this is the first book I've written, so I'm green but I'm growing, and so I wanted to share with you how and why I was, hello, so nice to see you here. So nice to see you all here. Why I wrote this book, and it was during the progress of learning through hypnotherapy how people can heal and understanding the connections to the experiences in childhood were motivated me to really examine what happened in this fictionalized memoir, what happened to me, and how the beliefs that I had became realities. The beliefs that I established as a child became realities as an adult, and how I could then, the ones that I didn't like, go back into my childhood and start transforming those moments into something more satisfying, so that my life now manifested more satisfying existences, more realities that really made me soar as opposed to kept me tight. And so that has been the journey, and that's why I call it a journey in awakening. And the reason I call it I'm Right Here With You is because it isn't necessarily that I'm right here with you. It's actually a voice inside of me that emerged to let me know that she was always there with me, even in the loneliest of moments. I was accompanied with this very wise voice. So that gave me the inner strength that I was yearning for as I was growing up. And so at the same time, there are many moments that I didn't understand about myself until I got more into the study of hypnosis and hypnotherapy. And I wanted to read to you a part where I went to a hypnotherapy convention, and the setup is that you go to many different workshops and meet different hypnosis teachers, and then choose who you'd like to study with, because they seem to give you what you're yearning for, or the answers that you need, not only for yourself but for the clients that you're going to work with. So this is how I met the teacher that I most learned from, in a sense. Although I went to about 6 different hypnotherapy schools in the process, and I attended more hypnotherapy schools, and the school that gave me the most clarity was Evelyn Schiff's. She taught me how to find out a lot more about the client, how to work with his or her inner child, and transform their uncomfortable feelings into supported feelings. Her work was detailed and worked with the body responses. I met her at a hypnosis convention. At that workshop, she asked if anyone was having any problems with anger, and I raised my hand. Just before I had left Miami, I lost it with my girls when I felt they were being too demanding. When I looked back on it, they were being normal children, and it was pushing some of my buttons. I've learned through the years that when there's a sudden burst of uncontrollable emotion, it's coming from the subconscious, some unresolved emotional festering wound issue that is carrying a strong electrical charge. That's what needs to be investigated and transformed, so that it doesn't keep erupting unexpectedly. I went to the front of the class and explained that I had overreacted in anger towards my daughters. She asked me if I wanted to work on that anger on myself. Of course, I said yes. She guided me into a relaxed state in front of everybody, and then asked me to go to the time when I was about the same age as my daughters, between 8 and 12 years old. What was happening to you at that time? She asked me. Nothing much, I said, just school and home, a couple of friends. So what happened when you got home? She asked. I always asked the maid, is my mother home? That was my first question. I had a thirst for her. She was never home, and I was always disappointed. And your father? She asked. My father was definitely not there. It was my stepfather, a friendly, distant relationship. He wasn't interested in what I was doing at school or anything else. He played the piano and I sang with him. He brought a chocolate bar once in a while. He beat me a couple of times. So how does this little girl feel about all this? Okay, I guess. There was a silence, with question marks floating through the room. Everybody knew there was more to it. Neglected, sad, angry. Angry, she says. How angry? She held out her arm. Hold my arm and shake it as hard as you want and show me. Get all the anger out you feel from the way you were treated at that time, she said to me. I shook that little old lady, almost throwing her down to the floor. The whole room gasped. I was surprised how much anger and force I had accumulated inside of me, so hidden. That was the anger that reared its ugly head at the most inappropriate moments. Once I had expressed a lot of it, she guided me to meet that little girl, rescue her out of this place, and take her to my new field of possibilities. Once I was there with her, I hugged her, loved her, and appreciated her. I let her know the doors to the past were closed. She never had to return there anymore, and brought her home. At that moment, my body was filled with warmth and comfort. It was so pervasive. I was amazed with this work. When I found myself with my daughters again, I had gained a new calm way of understanding and enjoying their needs. So it goes on. I called her up when I got back to Miami and I said, I want to learn everything you know. I want to learn everything how to deal with the inner child. And that's how I've been working since then. When I work with somebody, I always work with guiding them to their inner child, to find the moments where they feel that same anxiety that they feel in the present, in their present lives. And so this is what I wanted to share with you, because it has been so useful for me, and especially when one is in relationship. And I'm with my husband, so we have an intense, wonderful relationship. But if you're all alone, you don't get anybody pressing your buttons. But if you're in relationship, things come up and you feel like this, and you get all anxious, and we tend to blame it immediately on the person who triggered it. And if we can just remember that actually that emotion is really inside of us, and that they are just the messenger reminding us that that emotion is inside of us, but it's really something that's within us. So if you'd like to do it, I would be willing to guide you into a relaxation now, so that you can feel inside your body first, because the feelings in our body are associated with our images, with our imagination. Just like, for example, if somebody were to say, oh, let's go and have a pizza, and I know this place where they have this wonderful pizza, and they put this cheese and these mushrooms and everything, and if you happen to be hungry at that moment, your imagination creates it, and you might even your mouth might start watering and saying, yeah, let's go, Or if you were to walk into your house and it's dark and you notice a big thing there in the corner, you say, I don't remember leaving anything there. What is that? And your heart starts pounding, because you start fearing that maybe it's something scary that's hidden there or something. But your imagination is triggering your body to respond. The minute you turn on the light and you say, oh, it's the old duffel bag that so-and-so left, then your body calms down, right? So our bodies are constantly telling us, giving us messages of where the stress is, and it's inside our bodies. And we can associate it with moments earlier in our lives where we felt the same sort of stress. And then to integrate it, to soothe it, we just embrace it. Rather than blame somebody else, we embrace it, and that soothes it more and more and more, and it dissipates completely. Would you like to try that? It's a private journey.
People being shaken to the ground. By several people, perhaps.
What?
By several people, perhaps.
It's a private memory journey. And I'm sure you've all meditated enough that it's easy for you to close your eyes, right? You're all into meditation to some degree, yes? So make yourselves comfortable and close your eyes and put your feet flat on the ground and take a few deep breaths and just enjoy. It's a way to release all the tensions of the day, just to be here now. And you can just close your eyes effortlessly and let your eyelids feel really heavy. It's a wonderful feeling. Breathe in deeply and blow out long. And with every breath, you feel the relaxation in your shoulders, your arms. Breathe in deeply and blow out long. Feel yourself going deeper and deeper relaxed, where noises do not disturb you in the least. On the contrary, noises help you to relax even more. And where you feel that your mind is floating freely, like a piece of silk floating in the wind. Breathe in deep and blow out long. And the more you breathe deeply and exhale, the more you relax in the moment. And it's getting in touch with all the natural rhythms inside your body. And feel how delicious that feels. The more you breathe deeply and exhale. So you are here now, in this moment. Nothing else to do, nowhere else to go, just here, just now. And the vast spaciousness of your consciousness and your imagination, which is the tool. So breathe in deep and blow out long. And as you go deeper and deeper with every breath, and you allow yourself to feel more and more relaxed, set yourself up as an explorer. You're now here, an explorer of your own inner self, with an opportunity to integrate emotions that maybe were on the outside. So maybe with your breathe deeply and exhale, and now with your memory, go back to a moment where you felt triggered, you felt reactive, you felt a strong emotion that was uncomfortable. And maybe, like I have done many times and many others do, we tended to blame somebody on the outside for that uncomfortable feeling. But now, rather than do that, let's focus on the feeling. Just feel that feeling. What feeling was that? What kind of feeling was that? And define it for yourself. Was it a feeling of being misunderstood? Was it a feeling of feeling victimized? Feeling that you couldn't change the situation? Just feel the feeling that it was for you. And you're just an explorer, noticing that for yourself as a witness. And then ask yourself, when in my childhood, or when much earlier on, did I feel these sorts of feelings? And identify the moment or the age or the situation or what other feelings were associated with it. And you, the adult, now, separate from this child or this younger version of yourself, can go over to this child and say, I know that you were feeling these feelings, or that you are feeling these feelings. But now you don't need to feel them anymore. I'm here. I'm helping you. I'm embracing you. You're good. I'm loving you unconditionally. You're innocent. And invite this younger version of yourself to leave that situation that was creating all this discomfort. Once and for all, close the doors to the past, to come with you right now, to come with you right now to your new field of new possibilities. A wonderful open field. Green and flowers, green grass, swaying trees, the breeze. The scents, the flowers, the birds. Are you all here together in the two of you, the two parts of you, in your new field of new possibilities? Give me a little nod just to know that you're there. Open space, open possibilities. And here you can lift your arms and embrace this child and hug yourself as you do that. Just give yourself a nice, warm, cozy hug. And feel that hug in your body. Your body is your subconscious mind, so you imprint it on your body, that you feel that protection and that acceptance and that respect and that love. And you feel that younger version of you just reassured, just feeling, say, I love you no matter what. You're perfectly imperfect and I love you just the way you are. You're brilliant, you're funny, you're fabulous, just the way you are. And just hold yourself so that until you feel that all the release, all the safety of being accepted and loved and empowered unconditionally. It's a wonderful feeling to be reunited with your inner child. And from now on, this child is reintegrated into you, into the beingness that is you. And the child represents the part of you that has energy and vitality and spontaneity and creativity, that has very strong intuition, that loves to sing, to dance, to play, to enjoy life just as it is. And so you're allowing it to be part of you again. And you say to her or to him, now, from now on, we are a team. We are together. And we will do things together. And you can count on that child's imagination or creativity and vibrancy and vitality. So feel that integration in your whole body. Feel that child inside of you, smiling. And so how does that child feel? How do you feel embracing that child? If you're feeling pretty good, just give me a little nod so that I know. So let these feelings get deeper and stronger with every single breath that you take from now on. Take a deep breath. With every single breath that you take from now on, these good feelings double in depth and intensity and amplitude. Breathe in deep. Blow out long. Relax your arms at your own rhythm. And whenever you're ready, slowly emerge and open your eyes. In perfect health.
I like it there. I'd rather stay there.
Yes? Well, you can go back anytime. Good. So that was a good experience.
Yes, it was.
Yes?
So.
Great. So do you feel you can recreate it for yourself?
Yes, I think so.
Wonderful. Yes. So that's really a very powerful tool for yourself.
I do meditation, but I have never tried to reach the little girl that I was.
Yes.
That worked.
Wonderful. Congratulations. Yeah. Anybody?
Question.
Yes.
I was trying to go to my childhood, but I stopped being already an adult. But of course, it's an experience probably like a teenager, more than a teenager. But
Yeah.
it is past because I'm not
Yes.
a teenager anymore, and
Right.
I could not reach the childhood. I mean, is that one is trying to block that, or is because this was an event that was more important?
Well,
I consider was important for my today's situation.
yes. Well, then
It's okay?
yes, yes. It doesn't mean that you can't do it again and then find another part of yourself that needs to be acknowledged, embraced, and taken out of that, stuck in that past and brought to the present in the same way. Yeah.
You mean that I should try to go to the childhood more? Because
Yes.
I consider that this was so important that probably did not allow me to go to the childhood. Could that be? Is it?
No, I don't think it
No.
does. There's nothing that stops you except what first comes up is what first wants to be dealt with.
Oh, okay, that's the question.
Yeah, but you can always go back and say, all right, but now I want to go back, further back, and see what else. Where else did I feel those kinds of feelings?
I even went to an episode that happened like 2 weeks ago, related to the one that was there as an important. Is that okay?
Sure, because you start with something in the present and you go backwards. And then you bring the part of you that is stuck in that past, feeling like this, and you embrace it and let it know that it can let go of the past and be here now with you.
Was that hypnotherapy or?
Yeah.
That's an example.
That's an example, yes. I mean, when we're sitting alone with a person, you can go, and you have an hour and a half, you can go to the teenager, then you can go backwards a little bit more. And also working with the body responses. So when the person comes to me and says, like recently I had a teenager, she says, every time I hear the opening of a bag of chips, my stomach just goes completely tight. I feel nauseous and I can't eat. And she was 14 or 15, so she didn't have that much to go back towards, but she did go back to a moment when she was 6 years old in school. And something happened where she was made fun of. It was something she brought for lunch, and people were opening the bags and they made fun of what she had, or there was some kind of situation where she felt totally inadequate and powerless to change the situation. And that was the root of that uncomfortable feeling, and she associated it with the opening of the chips. And from then on, every time she heard that sound, she went back to the feeling that she felt when she was 6 years old. And then once I guided her to bring the 6-year-old out of there, to embrace her, to hug her, the new field of possibilities, now she's free and with you, that symptom disappeared. So it's amazing how by association we get stuck in different moments.
So you're still practicing?
Sometimes, yes, I am. How are you? It's so nice to see you. Yeah.
A session with you.
Yeah.
Have you worked in, because I have had some work where you do the kind of thing that you've done right now, hypnosis, you go back to certain parts, what we did now, and then the therapist I don't remember the name, but the therapy taps you to reset your physical responses.
Yes,
to
there's
the
tapping.
Emotions. I forgot the therapy.
It's
name.
emotional tapping or something
or
like that.
something like that, but they actually reset your.
Yeah, and it's used for trauma, for traumatic
Yes,
moments.
yes.
Yes. That, and also like this with the finger
Right.
is also another.
Yeah.
There are many techniques. Yeah, there are many
But they
techniques.
all use, well, you have to have some kind of relaxation and be able to reach.
Right. So as I started realizing how connected we are to our childhood, that's what really motivated me to write the book. Even though I fictionalized it, I wanted to, instead of, things that happened that, of course, I had blamed different people, but then I started realizing that really experiences had shaped me in that way, in attracting certain people in my life.
Do you undo it by that, by hypnosis? And
Well,
by,
I just was able
by
to take more
modifying-
responsibility for having put myself in those positions rather than ending up blaming all these people, And that is the process that I find is very liberating, of being able to say, well, I placed myself in that situation. Yes, that person did that to me, but I was there. I could have walked out, and I didn't. It took me, I had to grow up or learn to say, no, I don't want this. And it takes a while. It takes a while to... It takes a lifetime. And it's still happening, but it's much gentler, and much sweeter, the journey.
How did you get to hypnotherapy and to become a hypnotherapist?
So there are many schools of hypnotherapy. It's not taught in universities, and I don't really know why. I've been told rumors that they're afraid that people start being hypnotized and then might sue the university for doing things, say, oh no, the hypnosis made me do it or something, I don't know. But there are many very good hypnosis schools all over the country, and very experienced teachers. And of course, the more one practices, the more one, it's part of learning how to feel the situation and know how to respond to the person as well. So the practice makes it easier. The confidence also makes it easier. And
Did you work with Silva?
yes, and Silva is what led me there.
So you started with Silva.
I
first.
started with Silva, and when I went back to retrain with Silva, I was living here, and I had the two girls, and my then husband got into medical school, and I said I have to figure out a way to make some money, and the only way I knew how to make money was through Silva at that time. So I went back and updated myself and went through in Spanish and in English, and then I realized, Silva is just teaching people self-hypnosis. That's really what it's doing. It's teaching a lot more things because it's showing you how to use your imagination to heal yourself, how to use your intuition, because at these deeper levels, the intuition becomes very, very palpable, and you begin to trust it more and more. And but otherwise, it's really just teaching people to hypnotize themselves.
Do they still, do they still exist? Because they
Yeah.
don't have it around here. It's in Tamarack. I don't know where it's so far away.
Oh, somebody told me that Laura Silva was in Miami or somewhere in Miami teaching a class this week. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know, but you could call the Silva method in Laredo and
I
ask.
thought they didn't exist anymore.
Yeah,
I took a course. in
you've
many,
seen it
many
here?
years.
No, it's still online. You can go to Google it.
Yeah, you can go on Google.
So there's a connection there to Silva.
Oh yes, and Jose Silva, who created the Silva method, studied the Rosicrucians, studied hypnosis, studied Jung and Freud and everybody, and then slowly put it together in a simplified manner, because he was really teaching children to be better at school, to concentrate and be better at school, and to heal themselves and to help others heal. So he was considered a quack in Laredo, Texas at the time.
Genius quack, you know.
And completely self-educated. He did not. There's a funny story about Jose Silva because he was the eldest of 12 children, so he was doing everything to make money, you know, to support his family. And I think his mother became a widow and so forth. So then he went to the barber, and he saw that the barber had these weekly lessons for electrical, how to use electricity. And he asked, and the barber said, "Oh, it's this class I'm taking by correspondence." The barber said, "If you wanted, you pay me $1 for each one, and you can take it and study." So Jose did that, and he studied the whole course. And at the end of the course, and he said, "But you have to do my homework," the barber said to Jose, "so I can pass the course." So Jose would take it, would study it, would bring back the homework. At the end of the course, the barber got the diploma, and Jose started a business in electronics in Laredo, Texas. And that's how he supported himself. And that's what drove him to start studying the brainwave activity. He started studying how the brain changes frequency depending on the state of mind that you are. And that when you're in a more active state of mind, it's producing these beta waves. And when you're in a slower, more relaxed, more receptive state of mind, you're producing these alpha waves. And that's a very good level to learn things.
And that's where you also are more creative with your
And you're more creative, you're more imaginative. So then he developed that whole perspective, because a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't visualize." But it's not true. We all visualize, but we don't realize it. We do it so automatically. But once we visualize with choice, with determination, what you were asking me before, no? Choosing what you want to happen.
Where do you want to go?
Create your direction, or imagine it. I mean, and that's the great thing about imagination. You don't actually have to do it right away. You can imagine, well, what would it be like to be a singer every night? Is that what I really want to do? No, maybe not. What would it be like to be a writer every day? Well, maybe that would work better. You know, so your imagination allows you to explore, and then you can zero in on what really gives you a feeling of passion and strength.
Do you find, what do you do when people are more resistant? Because obviously some people meditate and it's very easy for them to get to that alpha state. And I'm sure you've had people in your practice that have a hard time going there. So what do you do then?
That's a great question, yeah, because some people even say, "Oh no, I can't be hypnotized. Nobody can hypnotize me." And I said, well, actually people who think that are usually very intelligent, and they want, they're questioning every step of the way, and that's a good thing to question it. But at the same time, it's also because you haven't really yet understood the benefits of relaxing. There are many health benefits, there are many concentration benefits, there are many, you get more energy, you get more clarity of mind. And so once you understand that it's not something to be scared of, it's not me controlling you. I cannot control you. Even if I take you to a very deep level, and that's another thing I have to clear people. It's not me telling you what to do. It's in every hypnosis session, you are listening. You listen, but you can still accept or reject, So if I were to say, okay, and then when you get up, you won't even remember, but you leave me your whole wallet there on the corner, and you'll walk out, and then a week later you'll come, and the wallet, you won't remember how much money there was in. No, they'll say, Mimi, So it isn't like that at all. And people have done tests in terms of taking people very deep and saying, and now throw this glass of acid on this person that is there. And they won't do it. It's ethically against their deepest ethical sense,
So it's about trust.
So it's about trust, yes.
Trusting you as well as trusting
Exactly.
yourself to go there.
Exactly. And realizing that there's a benefit in it. It's not something where you lose control. On the contrary, it's something where you gain consciousness. And it's something very much like, when you watch a game on television and everything goes very fast, bang, goal. And then you don't really know what happened, but if you got to see it in slow motion, then you really understand who did what to whom and why the guy ended up with a, with a broken leg or with a goal or whatever. But so it's going into that level where you can really do the slow motion for your own mind without getting all emotionally reactive about it. It's a freedom. It's more space.
Mimi, is it true that the person, the hypnotherapist, cannot make a person do anything that the person inside doesn't really want to
That's
do?
right. They cannot.
That's
So the hypnotherapist is really only saying, well, what is it that you really want to do? And I can guide you to a place where your whole body and mind will accept my suggestion. Yeah. But when people would call to say, I want to stop smoking, I said, are you really ready to stop smoking? Because if you're just saying it, or is it somebody wanting you to stop smoking, then it doesn't work. It has to be you.
Or orienting a person to kill someone.
No.
The people wouldn't do it.
I know, there's a film, The Manchurian Candidate, but that doesn't happen.
So would you say that hypnosis is kind of a guided meditation? Is
Yeah.
it meditation and you're being guided by
Exactly.
by the person who has the
Absolutely. I would say that it is a guided meditation, and it's an opening.
But it's a positive, you have the power of positive thinking.
Yes.
Because I've been hypnotized by you before, and I've
Yeah.
learned a long time. And I think it could make a difference if you're with somebody who's negative and is saying things that don't, go with you. But
Right.
as you witnessed with you tonight, I mean,
Yeah.
it's very positive, embracing the child within.
Oh, yeah.
And you're very positive, so I think it is about trust, but also finding a person
That you
is
feel
positive.
exactly, that's positive, and that you feel comfortable, and you get very sensitive when you become more and more positive. You get very sensitive to people that aren't. You suddenly, it feels like ugh.
So can somebody do self-hypnosis?
Yes, they can.
Because, let's say I want to work at an issue. I want to work with an issue that I have. Right?
Mhm.
So I can sit down and say, subconsciously, I'm going to go and deal with that issue and get myself into.
You can. You could even make yourself a recording of exactly what you want to guide yourself, because your voice you're going to trust. And
Well, I don't know sometimes. Mimi, didn't you make a poster one time of things that you wanted? You actually
Yes, I did. They're called something map, happiness map, or some corny name like that, but it works. and I did. There was a canoe. I wanted like a place where I could have a canoe and water and peace, and then there were two lovers sort of embracing and.
And you got everything, right?
Oh yeah, I did. And may I tell the story of when you first came to Miami, or you want to tell it? You want to? So when we met, Paul lives in Massachusetts, and then he said, well, come and meet me here, and we'll travel there, and we'll do this, and fine. And then after a while, I said, well, why don't you come to Miami sometime? I'm still living here, And he says, well, actually, I have to tell you that I've been allergic all my life, and you've told me that you have 3 cats and a dog, and I can't, I just start everything happening. I said, oh, I'll send you a tape. And so I made a tape that I think I sort of made it so that he could make friends with each one and why and how they had been adopted, and a little story like that, but also relaxation and how nice it would be to meet them all and so forth. And that he would breathe freely and that it would be fine. Right, you want to go on from there?
I didn't believe it. And, so I left, and yet Mimi did send me a small cassette tape, which I got on a Monday. I listened to it Monday night. I said to myself, it's going to take a lot more than that to change my 50, 60 years of allergies. But I liked the sound of her voice, so I listened to it again the next morning, and I listened to it again on Wednesday and on Thursday morning. And then I got on the plane and went down to visit, thinking really that I was in denial, that that she couldn't have 3 cats and a dog. That, well, when she opened the door of the house, there they were, all around her feet, and I thought, oh my God, what is going to happen? But what happened was that we had a lovely weekend together. There was not a sneeze, there was not eye troubles, there was no wheezing. I simply didn't react. And so, ever since then, that's been the case. With, so when Mimi came to live with me, she brought her dog and one of the cats. The cat is still with us. The dog died a while ago. But I still am shocked when I wake up and the cat is somewhere on the bed, behind my head, or on her feet, or whatever. And I think this is really heaven. And this was something I never knew as a child. I always thought people were rather nutty about their pets. But I learned. So it was really a full success. Just total.
Oh,
Still have the tape, but I haven't listened to it again.
You get to hear her voice all the time.
I do.
Yeah.
So she's that good, huh?
Oh,
She is.
thank you.
And when Mimi talks about the people that she's helped, I always think, my God, a regular doctor, all they can say is, let me see what kind of a pill I can give you. And that's it. And if a child comes in with some sort of a scratch on their knees or something, how can you address it that way? But with Mimi's methods, she has helped many, many people. So, tell us a little bit more about the rest of your book.
Yeah, so, well, I just, maybe the place where there, the whole thing about meditation, and I'm sure some of you have experienced it, is that the more you meditate, the more intuitive you become, and you start trusting your intuition. Have you noticed that? Yes? And so your intuition sort of steps in and tells you, yeah, go that way, or you're going to find it this way, or that's the book you should buy, or the idea that you should follow, or something. It sort of becomes very present inside of you. And I tell a situation here that happened a long time ago when my youngest daughter disappeared, and I was panicked. She told me she was going to a party with a friend, and then she was going to spend the night at this friend's. And then when I started calling at midnight and everything, she didn't call me back. She didn't answer. The place didn't answer. All night long, And so I can read you a little bit from that and how. So of course at first I'm just imagining the worst, because it went on. I was there at 6 a.m. at this house, and at 6:30, and the mother finally came out and said, "Oh yeah, I saw my son go out, and there was a girl," and because she had told me, "Oh, and his girlfriend's going to be there," but it turns out that the girlfriend, they had broken up a week before. And then they'd gone off to the party, the two of them. And she said, there was a girl. I said, well, that's my daughter. And where is his phone? How do you, like that. So, but the mother didn't know, and his phone was in his room. And it was just very, very scary. So Tomb silence set in. Fears of Stephanie, hurt and needing help, had crept in. Was the indigo blue, gold, and crimson patched Japanese silk skirt she had made for herself last week torn? Was she alone, robbed, or lost? I paced up and down in my living room. I called her cell phone ceaselessly, to no avail. I went to the bathroom mirror and gave myself a good talking to. Those big brown eyes, we all had them. I took a different approach. After years of practicing and teaching meditation, my only recourse at this time was to test my skills and sit still and listen to my inner voice. This voice was my constant companion, especially in the last 9 years since I'd become a single mom. I forced myself to sit and close my eyes. I managed to calm my imagination with deep breathing. The coolness of the air came up my nostrils. It filled my lungs and stretched my diaphragm. I guided the breath to trickle into my stomach, and then as I exhaled, it rose up my spine, out through my lips. I paused for a moment of stillness. I repeated the breathing cycle over and over again. My imagination went into slow motion. I envisioned a plush burgundy carpet covering a white marble staircase, and after 21 steps I arrived into a semicircular living room filled with red poppies and very pale yellow velvet cotton sofas cushioned with down pillows. French doors opened out on a brick veranda studded with turquoise and yellow painted Sicilian ceramic pots filled with outbursts of flowering wisteria. And over the worn marble balustrade, down another curving staircase, I took a path to the left. Beyond, I could see a waterfall jutting over gigantic rocks, splashing into a pond with pink and white quartz crystals and amethysts in its depths. And there I saw Buddha, Kuan Yin, Abraham, Moses, Christ, and Mohammed bathing together, waiting for me to join them. I took another deep breath and plunged in with delight. I felt at one with them. Allah, a swim, droplets gleaming in the inner sunlight, eyes open, the water tasted sweet, a scent of jasmine imbued the air. I took another breath. Is she all right? I whispered. Yes, she is thinking of you right now. I heard inside my body. Please ask her to call me. Thank you. Slowly, remarkably relieved, I opened my eyes and waited in silence. That tenuous communication was the only link I had. How thrilled I will be as soon as I hear her voice. I imagined the sound of her voice in my mind, her effortless, "Hi, Mom." I sat in a stupor, observing the dance of inkberry branches outside the living room window. They seemed to be greeting the intense midday sun. The phone rang. The world switched from black and white to flaring color when I heard, "Hi, Mom." So it was amazing that moment, I got it inside, the reassurance that she was there. And that's really where, when life is so confusing and overwhelming, the truth is really deep inside of us. And that's where...
And you felt that as a child, right? When you heard that voice, I'm right there with you.
Yes, I felt that as a child, and that's who that voice is, coming back in moments that were really sometimes dire, but just sort of holding me through them. So that's really why I called it that. And we all have that voice inside of us, and I'm sure you've heard it at some points. So let it shine. Let it sound. Do you have any other questions?
What kind of relationship do you have with your mother now?
That's a lovely question. It is, because in the book, the relationship is very difficult in many, many instances. I take it you've read the book.
Well, I
Or
started reading it,
Yeah.
and I must say it's very well written. I find
Thank you.
myself going back to read lines that you've written. It's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
But is the whole dynamic with your mom
Yes, it was difficult. And now she has Alzheimer's, and yet she's healthy, and she's well. She's in an assisted living situation, and she's so appreciative of when I'm there. I'm going next week to visit her and spend time and take her out and go shopping and take her to a meal or show her something. She's so loving, so appreciative that it's just the best thing for me. You know, it's like I'm just drinking it in, every little bit of it.
To kind of make up.
Yeah,
being neglected.
for the distance.
Yeah.
So now she's so wonderful. And her husband died last year. So she's found herself a boyfriend in the assisted living. At 92, she has a boyfriend who picks her up, and they go to meals and they have a great time.
So she was married to Victor, is that his?
Yeah, that's the name I gave him in the book, yes.
For years.
Yes, many years. So yes.
A couple of questions. Has your work led you to any higher beliefs or any belief system, or how would you describe your belief system? And then secondly, what are you going to work on next?
Thank you for those questions. They're good. I guess I really, more than a belief, an experience. I really know, and this is the book I wanted to recommend. You know, of course, I'd love you to buy my book, but but this book has been amazing for both of us. The presence process, and this man describes it in detail. And he reconfirmed the work of the inner child, but in his own way. He had a disease of Horton's syndrome, which I don't really know, but they told him it was incurable, and he had terrible pain, and he thought he wanted to either, you know, be on painkillers or considered suicide. He was desperate. So he started all these alternative ways to try, and ended up in sweat lodges with the Native Americans and all kinds of alternative things with indigenous populations. And out of that, he realized and integrated whatever pain it was or whatever conflict was that was creating the disease. He integrated it completely, and he's free of the disease. And he describes it very, very well. This whole process of being aware of the emotional charge that comes up inside of us, you know, when we get a knee-jerk reaction of somebody, and we tend to blame, no, you said this and it's because of that. And no, that emotional charge is inside of us, and it's really a part of us that needs to be acknowledged and to be embraced. And he really describes it so well. And he has a 10-week program, which Paul and I have done. We've gone twice through it, and a very simple meditation, and it's amazing. And so it's wonderful, because now it's not your fault or my fault. It's me working with me and Paul working with himself. And then we can talk about it, you know, what we discover and how we integrate it.
When you say integrated,
Yeah.
what is exactly that you do?
It's embracing, it's sort of acknowledging the uncomfortable feeling that's there and really feeling it and integrating it. Integrating means when something's outside of you, you bring it in, you embrace it, and you make it part of you. And then it sort of dissipates and becomes part of the whole.
That, but
Yeah.
I mean, if it's something negative that we do not want, so how do we want to bring it to us?
Because if it's something negative, an uncomfortable feeling, it's rooted in a childhood experience where that child, the you inside of you, was feeling scared or powerless to change a situation, or feeling a victim, that there was nothing they could do, or whatever the feeling was. It was an uncomfortable feeling. And so if you then become the parent to that child and embrace it and say, it's okay, you'll be all right, you're good, as you are, you're good. It's unconditional love. We're all yearning for unconditional love. And we are born into a conditional world where, oh no, I'll only love you if you do this, and if you do that, and if you do this, I'll love you, but if you do that, I won't love you. And so, and yet we are unconditional beings. So we're yearning, and if somebody outside of us can't give it, we can give it to ourselves.
It's kind of accepting what it is.
Yes.
That's
Accepting it and
Accept-
embracing it, yes.
embracing.
Have you ever read The Anatomy of the Spirit?
Yes.
That's amazing.
By the woman.
Maze, M-Y-S-E-S-S or something. Just fascinating because she actually has a chart that whatever ails you, your lungs. I had an epiphany when my grandma was dying of cancer, and that helped her die, believe it or not. I was reading it at the time. And it just tells you whatever ails you is attached to some emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And I shared it with her, and she was able to let go because she accepted that that was a problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the best books that I've read.
So she had an integration before she died. Well, you were helpful. That's
So
great.
your next project is what?
So my next project, right now, I mean, it could change. I could change my mind tomorrow, but is I've noticed that women who have good fathers become stronger sooner, and are able to be more assertive in the world and do what they want to do. And I didn't have that, and I've had to, figure it out on my own. So I really want to maybe write a book called Fathers I Admire. Just really pick fathers that, the first one that I've just read the book I Am Malala, and her father is amazing, and insisting on having a school with girls in a Pakistan that is almost completely controlled by the Taliban, and taking the risks and feeding the children so that they can stay in the school, and empowering his daughter to speak out and to go out in the radio, and then of course that tragedy happened, but they got out, and now they're in Birmingham, and whatever they're doing, I don't know, I'm not up to date exactly, but that was a very inspiring book, the I Am Malala, really.
Is your father still living?
No, he is not, no.
Did you have any kind of relationship with him?
A very, very superficial one, yeah. Very, very superficial. So it wasn't... and in the book I tell that there was a moment right after he died where I did, because when I was living in Spain, I got together with a group who used to do a lot of seances, and we used to speak to the spirits. And I'll tell you, they were incredible. I was checking to make sure that nobody was moving that table, and nobody was moving that table. That table was moving. And I know you may think it's crazy, but it was true. Anyway, so we did that right after he died, and he came. He spelled out his name, and he said he had a message for me and that he loved me. And I thought, well, that's really sweet of him to love me, at least now.
This has nothing to do with, but it may be. I saw a film that I think everybody in the room should see at some point. It's called The Babadook.
Oh, yes, I've read about it.
And
Did you
it's
enjoy
just, what you're talking about, I guess, is reminding me, because it's about a mother and her child, and how she starts to believe that a character in a storybook is actually coming alive. But it's really about her innermost feelings, the anxiety that she feels as a mother raising this child.
Right.
But it's a horror film in the sense that it all comes out. It's all
It manifests all her fears.
But it's really well done, directed by a woman.
It's a film, or it's a film?
film.
Babadook?
So, The Babadook. I recommend it. To
Oh,
I've
thank you.
It's
tried, but I'm
very
too scared. Can you
interesting.
see it by yourself?
A list of all of these recommendations, the one of the names. What's the name of the process? What?
The presence
The
process. Yes. Presence
Process.
process. Yes.
Best to remember.
It's on demand, but I don't want to see.
So I think we've come to the end of the
Did
time.
you have a second book that you had recommended?
Yes, there is a second book, and it's called The New Rules of Marriage. And it is also a wonderful book written by a therapist up in the Boston area. And it also has helped me tremendously. Yes.
Yes.
So they're available here at Books and Books. So thank you so much for coming. It's been a pleasure talking with you. And
Thank you, Mimi. We really appreciate that. Great job. For those of you on the internet who are not still hypnotized, give us a call here at the bookstore. Still not too late to get a book autographed, and we'll ship it to you. For those of you that are here, we have the book, Mimi's books, and the ones that she spoke about. She will sign right over here at this table. Thank you all so much for coming.
thank you.
Good night. Thank you.